So think about the last time you saw like a really chaotic piece of breaking news online.
Yeah, that happens basically every day.
Right. Like maybe a blurry, dramatic image of a protest or just some totally inflammatory quote from a politician, and your finger just, it hovered right over the share button.
Oh, absolutely.
You hesitated maybe just for a split second, wondering like, wait, is what I'm looking at actually real?
I mean, that right there is the defining feeling of navigating the internet today.
Yeah.
It's that tiny moment of friction where your brain just pauses and asks, am I looking at reality or am I looking at this highly engineered digital mirage?
Exactly. And most of the time, honestly, we just shrug and keep scrolling. Or worse, we hit share anyway because, well, it feels like it could be true.
Or it perfectly aligns with what we already believe.
Right. But we are sitting right in the middle of a modern information battlefield right now. And the organizations that used to do the heavy lifting for us,
The massive fact-checking institutions.
yeah, those institutions, they are facing massive across-the-board defunding. So relying on an algorithm or some platform to just flag reality for you, that isn't a viable option anymore.
No, not at all.
If you're navigating a feed that is just flooded with AI-generated content and hyper-partisan framing, viral rumors traveling at the speed of light, personal verification isn't just a skill for investigative journalists anymore.
It's a basic survival skill.
It really is.
The landscape has fundamentally shifted. The days of simply spotting a bad Photoshop job or like a slight misquote, those are over.
Long gone.
We're dealing with weaponized, highly sophisticated media manipulation. And it is specifically designed to bypass your logical brain and go straight for your emotional triggers.
Which brings us to the core of this deep dive today. We're looking at this phenomenal piece from Psychology Today by Dr. Matthew Facciani. And, okay, let's unpack this. The approach here isn't to turn you into some paranoid conspiracy theorist who doesn't believe anything.
Right, that's exhausting.
Totally. It's about walking through a curated set of resources, like building a digital detective kit that you can reach for when your feed looks suspicious.
And if we're going to start anywhere, we really have to start with the most visceral, immediate part of the internet.
What we see.
Exactly what we see. Visuals bypass our critical filters exponentially faster than text does. So before we even evaluate the nuanced claims in an article, we have to establish if the visual evidence attached to it actually exists in the real world.
Let's start with the absolute baseline then. Everyone knows Google Lens, or just doing a standard reverse image search.
Sure.
You see a dramatic photo of a riot, you right-click it, and Google tells you where else those pixels have lived online.
Right. It's a great starting point.
Yeah, it's a great way to find out that a breaking news photo from today was actually, taken during a sports championship 5 years ago. But the thing is, Google Lens is basically a massive library catalog.
That's a good way to put it.
Right. It just tells you if a book is on the shelf somewhere. It doesn't tell you the origin story.
Exactly. Which is why relying solely on Google Lens is a mistake. It matches visual patterns, but it doesn't index for chronology or forensic data.
So what do we use instead?
If you want to find the absolute origin of an image, you have to turn to something like TinyEye.
TinyEye, okay.
Yeah, TinyEye operates differently. It searches tens of billions of indexed images specifically to find the very oldest version of an exact match online.
Oh, wow.
It's literally designed to find patient zero in a viral outbreak.
But then you encounter video, and video feels, infinitely harder to verify. You can't just reverse search a moving image, can you?
Well, you can, actually.
Wait, really?
Yeah, if you break it down into its components. Because, video is ultimately just a sequence of still images, just frames played really rapidly.
Oh, right.
So there's a free browser extension called InvidWeaverify.
InvidWeaverify, got it.
It acts as this verification multi-tool. It extracts the keyframes from a video. It analyzes the file to find the sharpest, most distinct split seconds of that footage.
So it's turning a chaotic video into like 5 or 6 still photos.
Exactly. And then you can run those through your reverse image searches.
Okay, but what if someone is trying to be clever? Like they crop a photo or they slap a weird color filter on it to confuse those search engines?
It definitely happens. And for that, there's a tool called lenso.ai.
Lenso.
Right. It doesn't just look at the whole picture. It uses advanced facial and object recognition to identify the subjects, even if the original context has been totally cropped out.
That's incredible. But there's a catch, right?
Yeah. The catch is that Lenso has a paywall. It starts at around $19.99 a month for the heavy-duty features.
Yeah.
And some of the facial recognition is region-restricted depending on privacy laws.
That makes sense.
But for listeners who want to access high-level investigative tools without hitting a paywall, The collective at Bellingcat is unparalleled.
Oh, I've heard of Bellingcat.
Yeah, they're an independent group of open source investigators. And they maintain this massive directory of free tools used to debunk viral claims.
That's an amazing resource. I do want to push back on one of the more technical tools mentioned in the source material, though.
Oh, which one?
It talks about photoforensics, which uses something called error level analysis on JPEGs.
Ah, yes. Error level analysis.
Right. From what I understand, every time you save a JPEG, the data compresses. So if someone pastes a fake UFO into a picture of a sky, the UFO is going to compress differently than the sky behind it.
Correct.
But because of how messy that compression gets across the internet, like with people downloading and re-uploading, photoforensics frequently spits out false positives.
It does.
You practically need a degree in digital forensics to read the results accurately. So my question is it even worth a normal person's time to mess with that?
Honestly,
Yeah.
probably not for the average user.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great example of how getting too technical can actually muddy the waters.
Yeah.
And it highlights a crucial rule of digital verification. There is no silver bullet.
Right.
You don't rely on a single piece of software. You use them in tandem to build a consensus.
Okay, so take SunCalc, for example. I love this one. Instead of looking at pixels, it looks at physics.
Yes, SunCalc is brilliant.
It calculates the sun's exact position at a specific time and location. It's essentially like matching a suspect's alibi against the timestamps on security footage, like a digital crime scene investigator.
Exactly.
So if someone posts a photo claiming to be in downtown London at noon, but SunCalc proves the shadows in the photo match the sun's position at 6 p.m., you instantly know the narrative is fabricated.
And it's all about stacking those data points, right?
Yeah.
If Tie-Dye says the image is new, but SunCalc proves the shadows literally defy the laws of physics for that location, you have the consensus you need to reject the claim.
But here's the terrifying transition we have to make now. Tiny, Invid, SunCalc, these are all designed to verify photos taken by a physical camera.
Right.
What happens when the camera never existed in the first place? We have officially transitioned from human-edited media to machine-generated reality.
The deepfake era.
Yeah.
This is exactly where traditional reverse image searches fall completely flat. If an AI generator creates a scandalous image of a politician right now, Tie-Dye will tell you it has never been seen on the internet before.
Because it hasn't.
Because it hasn't. It was birthed into existence 5 seconds ago.
So how do you spot something that is brand new and completely fake?
You have to look for the invisible fingerprints left behind by the AI models themselves. Platforms like Midjourney, DLE, or Stable Diffusion.
Okay, what do those fingerprints look like?
Well, there is a platform called Hive Moderation that scans for them. Real life, a real photograph, is full of entropy. It's chaotic at a microscopic level.
Right. Dust, light variations.
Exactly. AI struggles with that chaos. It generates pixels using mathematical probability, meaning an AI image is often too smooth or too predictable in its pixel arrangement.
I see.
So Hive doesn't actually look at the picture. It looks at the math behind the pixels to spot that unnatural perfection.
There's also a simpler site called AI or Not, where you can drag and drop audio, video, or images. But the self-reported accuracy on those quick check sites is highly debatable. So I definitely wouldn't bet my life on their results.
No, definitely not.
But here's where it gets really interesting. The source talks about text detection, using AI to spot AI-written articles or essays. And it brings up GPT-0.
GPT-0, yes.
I have to say, I think GPT-0 is actively problematic for us to rely on.
Really? How so?
Because of how it evaluates text. It looks for burstiness and predictability in syntax. So if you write with highly structured, formal, academic grammar, GPT-0 often flags it as AI just because it's predictable.
Oh, that is a huge flaw.
Worse than that, it disproportionately penalizes non-native English speakers whose syntax tends to follow stricter, more formal rules anyway.
Wow.
Think of GPT-0 like a highly sensitive smoke alarm that starts screaming when you're just boiling water for pasta on the stove. It misses actual AI content constantly, and it punishes the wrong people. Why would we trust a tool like that?
I mean, it's a completely valid critique. And frankly, the tech industry realizes that playing a game of whack-a-mole after a piece of media is published is a losing battle anyway.
So what's the alternative?
What's fascinating here is the pivot toward proving authenticity at the moment of creation, rather than trying to detect fakes after the fact. And this brings us to C2PA content credentials.
The source compares C2PA to a nutrition label for media.
That is the best way to understand it. C2PA is an initiative backed by Adobe, Microsoft, Google, and the BBC.
Heavy hitters.
Yeah. Instead of scanning an image for AI fingerprints later, C2PA attaches cryptographically signed metadata to the file the very moment it's created.
Okay, cryptographically signed metadata is a mouthful. Give me the explain it like I'm five version.
Sure. Think of it like a digital wax seal on a document.
A wax seal, okay?
It records who created the file, what camera is used, and most importantly, whether any AI tools were used to alter it.
Oh, that's smart.
So if someone downloads that image, brings it into Photoshop, and uses an AI tool to add a fake explosion in the background, the wax seal breaks. The metadata updates to reflect the alteration.
That is wild.
Adobe even has a free content authenticity app so anyone can inspect the seal on an image. It's the strongest defense mechanism we are currently building against the fully synthetic internet.
Okay, so let's walk through a scenario then. You run an image through TinyEye, and it's not old. You check the C2PA metadata, the wax seal is intact, and it says no AI was used.
Right.
It passes all the visual tests. But a completely real, authentic photo of a long line of people standing outside a bank might have a headline attached to it screaming, "Bank run imminent, economy collapsing."
When in reality, it's just a line for a popular food truck parked next door.
Exactly. The visual is true, but the context is a complete lie. Now we have to investigate the claims themselves.
And this is where we escalate to the fact checkers.
Yeah.
A brilliant starting point that many people don't even know exists is the Google Fact Check Explorer. It aggregates over 150,000 fact checks from reputable organizations worldwide.
Wow, I didn't know about that.
Yeah, but the catch, however, is that Google actually removed this tool from its regular public-facing search results back in 2025.
Oh, of course they did.
You won't stumble across it accidentally. You have to specifically navigate to toolbox.google.com/factcheck/explorer.
Good to know. And then you have the absolute classics, right? Snopes remains the undisputed champion for viral hoaxes, urban legends, and those bizarre rumors that just show up in your family group chats.
Oh, the family group chats are the worst.
But I highly recommend PolitiFact. They use a truthometer, which is incredibly useful because it doesn't just slap a false label on a claim. It explains the mechanics of why something is misleading.
Which is so important.
It builds your own critical thinking skills.
And when you are dealing with specialized high-stakes claims, general fact-checkers might not cut it. Factcheck.org runs a dedicated feature called SciCheck, and there is a brilliant nonprofit called the Evidence Collective. If you are navigating complex health, science, or medical misinformation, those are non-negotiable resources.
Essential.
Furthermore, if a rumor is crossing international borders, you need the AFP and Reuters fact checks. AFP employs roughly 150 dedicated fact-checkers operating across 26 different languages to verify international claims.
That's a massive operation, but evaluating a claim isn't always a binary true or false, you know?
Right.
Often the deception lies in how a fundamentally true fact is framed, and this is where media bias tools become essential. We're talking about All Sides, Ground News, NewsGuard, and the Ad Fontes media bias chart.
Yes.
And just to be abundantly clear to you listening, using these tools is not about declaring one side of the political aisle correct and the other side wrong. We're not taking any political sides here.
Precisely.
Yeah.
We aren't interested in endorsing left-wing or right-wing ideologies here. The value of these tools is strictly analytical. They exist to map out the media ecosystem so you can see how different ends of the spectrum frame the exact same factual event differently.
Exactly. Ground News is fantastic for this because it explicitly highlights what they call blind spots.
Oh, I love that feature.
It's so good. It shows you the raw data. Like, it'll say, this factual event is being covered by 80 right-leaning outlets, but completely ignored by left-leaning outlets, or vice versa. It lets you see what your own algorithmic feed might be hiding from you.
That's incredibly powerful.
And NewsGuard functions as a browser extension that rates over 35,000 websites based on 9 strict criteria for journalistic credibility and transparency. And Ad Fontes plots news outlets on this visual scatter chart, measuring both their political lean and their factual reliability.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, you have to remember that media bias tools like All Sides and Ground News are rating political lean and coverage volume. That is completely separate from factual accuracy. A highly biased outlet can report a mathematically true statistic, but surround it with such loaded language that it implies a massive falsehood.
Which is why the News Literacy Project developed a tool called RumorGuard. I love the philosophy behind this one.
What does RumorGuard do?
It doesn't just hand you the answer, it forces your brain to pause and evaluate 5 specific pillars of verification before you accept a claim.
Okay, what are the pillars?
Authenticity, source, evidence, context, and reasoning. It basically trains you to ask better questions.
That's fantastic.
Hmm.
So let's recap where we are. We've verified the visual content, we've checked for AI manipulation, we've consulted the international fact checkers, and we've analyzed the political framing.
We've done the work.
But what about the infrastructure of the website making the claim? If the foundation is rotten, everything built on top of it is highly suspect.
Right.
We need to follow the digital paper trail.
The Wayback Machine is the ultimate tool for this. It is literally the memory of the internet. I mean, it passed 1 trillion archive pages in 2025.
1 trillion. That's hard to even fathom.
If a politician or a publication stealth edits an article to cover their tracks or scrubs a controversial post entirely, the Wayback Machine usually has the receipt.
I usually do.
And then you pair that with a WHOIS lookup, which reveals the domain age and the registered owner of a website.
Now, why is domain age so critical to check?
Because of how fake news is laundered.
Yeah.
Imagine you are scrolling and you see an article from a site called, I don't know, the Ohio Capitol Chronicle.
Sounds very official.
It sounds incredibly official. It sounds like an established, trusted local news outlet. But you run a WHOIS lookup, and the data shows that domain was registered just last Tuesday.
Oh, wow.
It is a massive, glaring red flag. You are looking at a phantom website spun up by a partisan operative or a foreign actor designed specifically to launder a fake headline right into your social media feed.
Wow. Yeah, keeping track of all these different vectors, visuals, AI, bias, domain registries, it can feel dizzying.
It really can.
But the Indicator newsletter actually built a navigator tool specifically to help users match the right verification resource to the specific kind of claim they are investigating.
Oh, that's really handy.
It is. But regarding the Wayback Machine you mentioned earlier, Dr. Facciani's piece highlights a deeply concerning trend.
Oh.
Major digital publishers are now actively altering their site code to block the Wayback Machine's web crawlers.
Wait, really? That is terrifying for historical transparency. If major publications can unilaterally erase their digital footprints without consequence, how does the public hold them accountable for what they published yesterday?
That vulnerability is exactly why decentralized archiving tools are becoming vital. Bellingcat, who we mentioned earlier, created a tool called the Auto Archiver.
Auto archive.
Yeah. Instead of waiting for the Wayback Machine to crawl a site, it allows users to actively preserve online content across multiple databases the moment they see it, before it gets stealth edited or scrubbed by the publisher.
So it puts the power back in the hands of the reader.
Exactly. It places the power of preservation in the hands of the reader.
Well, we have covered a massive amount of ground today. We've armed you with reverse image engines, pixel-level AI detectors, cryptographic metadata seals, global fact-check databases, bias scatter charts, and domain registry lookups.
It's a lot.
It is a lot. But to pull directly from Dr. Facciani's conclusion, well, the ultimate weapon against modern disinformation requires zero software whatsoever.
None at all.
It is entirely psychological.
Because modern disinformation isn't actually trying to convince you of one specific lie. That is almost secondary.
Wait, really? Then what's the primary goal?
The primary goal of a coordinated disinformation campaign is to exhaust you.
Exhaust you.
It is a fire hose of falsehood designed to overwhelm your cognitive load, to confuse you so thoroughly that you throw your hands up, decide that truth is entirely subjective, and just disengage from reality completely.
Wow. So what does this all mean for you, the listener? It means the most powerful tool you possess is the concept of critical ignoring.
Critical ignoring, I like that.
It is the intentional, practiced habit of knowing what to simply scroll past. You have a finite amount of attention every day. Protecting it is your primary job.
Absolutely.
You do not need to catch every single lie on the internet. You do not need to act as the digital police. You just need to build the muscle memory of slowing down. Pause. Check the claim only if it actually matters to your life or your community, and then decide.
This raises an important question for all of us, though. How often do our own tightly held identities make us vulnerable to that fire hose?
Oh, that's a tough one.
We all desperately want to feel like we are on the right side of history. So when we see a viral claim that perfectly validates our anger or perfectly confirms our pre-existing worldview, that is the exact moment our critical thinking shuts down.
Yeah.
That is when we are most susceptible to hitting share before we verify.
It's a bitter pill to swallow, but the truth rarely feels as satisfying as a perfectly crafted lie.
Very true.
But as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a thought to mull over, something that isn't neatly resolved by our digital detective kit.
Okay, let's hear it.
We are looking at a near future where AI text detectors like GPT-0 are already failing and unjustly penalizing human writers.
Right.
Simultaneously, AI image and video generators are producing flawless, indistinguishable reality.
Yes. So if we reach a point where our detection tools completely fail, and truth relies entirely on corporate metadata labels, like the
Uh-huh.
C2PA wax seal.
Exactly. What happens to all the historical, unlabeled media? Think about it. What happens to the billions of authentic, vital videos and photos taken before 2025 that don't have cryptographic signatures attached to them?
That's a massive blind spot.
Will we eventually be forced to look at a genuine piece of historical footage and simply because it lacks a modern corporate stamp of approval, dismiss it as fake? Are we moving toward a future where we have to distrust our own human senses entirely?
It is the ultimate digital paradox. In our quest to mathematically prove what is real today, we might accidentally render the entire human past unverified.
The next time your finger hovers over that share button, looking at an image or a quote that makes your blood boil or perfectly confirms your bias, remember that tiny moment of hesitation. Do not ignore it. That friction isn't your brain being slow. That is your instinct trying to protect you on the information battlefield. Listen to it, use your tools, and stay curious.